Let's go to, it's harder than ever for low-income families to buy in high-opportunity neighborhoods. So there's some subjectivity in this. There's some math and some evidence in this. Of course, there's fact, but there's also some opinion, in my opinion.
Same.
And so let's first talk really quickly about how they broke this up. They broke this survey into 100 of the most populous U.S. metropolitan areas and sorting each neighborhood into one of three tiers: low opportunity, intermediate opportunity, and high opportunity. Go. What are some of your takeaways, guys?
So essentially what they're saying is that in areas where you have a higher chance of being successful, getting a better education, there is a lot less affordability, which is very true. I mean, we live in we live in the eastern part of Chula Vista, a very desirable area. And I mean, you see the home prices here, very high. Even from the earlier years, it was always a desirable area. So, I mean, only over time, things get more expensive that we've seen. So I think, you know, people knowing this information, is going to let them know exactly what they need to do to put themselves in the right environment. And then I also listened to something, you know, might be a little bit off topic from this, but it was like when you put a shark in a tank and the tank is small, he's only going to be able to grow as big as that tank is. But if you put him in an environment where he's free to grow, free to move around, and have a lot more space to basically, you know, grow, then it's going to have a better impact on his, you know, growth, on his overall just trajectory of life. So I feel that has a big comparison to how we do things in the microscope here in cities, in states, and in countries, where you can go up the street to a certain area here in San Diego that is not going to be as fortunate as if you go to like a La Jolla, Oceanside, right? So there's a whole bunch of different mix of, you know, those types of areas. And I feel that having the information of this to let you know how that works out, it lets people know that there's other opportunities that they can work towards to be able to escape their current situation. Because I don't feel that you have to stay where you're at. It's more about finding the right tools and information to get out of your situation. Yeah.
And one thing that I want to point out about this article is that, you know, they're citing in this study that only 13% of the homes in the high opportunity neighborhoods are affordable. So, I mean, that's a huge disparity. That means 87% are unaffordable, right? And then that's down from 37% a decade ago. So like, look at that change. So you go from 37% down to 13% in just a span of 10 years, let's say. And actually, this actually goes pretty closely with another study. It was unrelated to this article, but I saw another study that came out that said only 16% of Californians can afford a home to qualify in California. Yeah. And that it now averages $208,000 of household income in order to qualify. So I know that this was this was 100 most populous metros in the country, but California is kind of a microcosm of this too. If only 16% of our population can afford.
Yeah, no, it's totally. As a matter of fact, like yesterday, Mikey, the youngest mortgage hero, right, and I were actually looking at a file, and we have buyers that were well prepared. Yeah. Hardly had any debt. Their debt was so low. They had great credit scores. They were in the 780s, but yet they couldn't qualify for anything. The max I can qualify them for was $395. You know, husband makes it was like $58,000. Wife make another $33,000. When the rates were like 3.875, they can go up to like 5 and change. Yeah. Right now, $395. That's it. There. So they needed, and at least to go to 580 with the 300 HOA, they needed to make at least $140,000. Well, how do we get that person to make more money?
Wow.
Right? How do we get that? Like, it's the average income in San Diego is $69,000.
And that's what I was going to say. From when it was 37%, now to 13%, how much has income and salaries risen?
Not much.
Risen since then. Barely.
That's one of the things we don't see.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And those are facts.
But that goes with this. And I mean, again, the survey broke this up into low, intermediate, and high opportunity. But I think the fact that the high opportunity is just so inaccessible, it's going to be a problem. It is a problem already. It's going to continue to be a future problem unless we can cure this somehow, or make those intermediate areas, bring them up to the standard that the definition of a high opportunity is considered. And of course, that would even skew the numbers too, because you're changing how you're judging or defining these three categories. But again, back to this affordability issue, like, it's crazy. You know, our next topic's going to dip into this too, because I think it's now causing some consumer sentiment to sour. Yeah. because it is becoming more challenging for people that are probably working very hard, and maybe they both need to get a second job, or maybe they're not in control of their hours at their primary job and they're not making enough. Like there's other constraints, there's other variables other than just the number on the paper that allow people to work more or less or not be able to have a second job. So this is definitely a problem.
Yeah, no, it really is. I'm telling you this. And they're talking about millennials staying at home longer. The average age for a person to live their home is 36 years old.
Jesus Christ.
That's gone up.
Yeah.
You know, and these are things that we're saying earlier that millennials aren't buying us homes. Well, we understand why. You know,
they're waiting for parents to inherit.
Yeah, there you go. I remember back in the day, Andy, we used to say, okay, $24,000 to $30,000 of your income is going to go towards paying a mortgage. Well, now if your average payment is 55 to 65,
you're paying your whole
100 a month. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.